Next! Una makora mangani?
Ndine 18.
Nogarawo?
S10.
18 iwewe? 18? Tarisa kunokutona? 18 awusati wasvika kana uri kuchitungisa. Unozotoka next year. Next! Nogarawo?
5 foot.
Haifitsi una makora mangani?
18.
Awusati wasvika unozotoka next year.
But what else, Mama?
Next! Fambisai, chef muroko?
Uzumba.
Chitupa chako china unoregister kuvota. Udza vamwe vayazitora chitupa vekuzumba. Next! Next!
Comrades and friends, today we are joined by a very special guest for a very exclusive interview. Today we are joined by the president of the MDC T, Comrade Douglas Mwonzora. Comrade Douglas Mwonzora, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you very much, Fatso. I'm very happy to be hosted by you.
So, Comrade, I'm going to get straight into it. Question number one. Are you a sellout? And if so, what is your monthly salary that you receive from ZANU-PF HQ?
Takabva kwese uku zvakanaka. In 1988 ndo pandakatanga politics dzangu kuUniversity of Zimbabwe ndichirwa against the one party state. 1990 ndikasungwa ndikagara muHwawa prison for writing a constitution of the Zimbabwe Unity Movement. 1995 I tried to stop the presidential election at the age of 25 because the electoral playing field was not even. 1997 I took the government to court over the Political Parties Finances Act. 1998 I was part of the group that formed the National Constitutional Assembly, and I was part of the group later that formed the MDC. Tikafamba zvakanaka, ndikaita secretary for local government, ndikazoita secretary for spokesman we MDC, secretary general we MDC. Nyaya yekunzi mutengesi yakazouya, tapedza pakabuda Supreme Court judgment. Ndobva tanzendai kuCongress. Ini ndobva ndati handei kuCongress. Vamwe vangu vachamisa vanga vasingadi kuenda kuCongress. Nekuti muna 2014 takamboenda kuCongress ya Secretary General tikanobanzurana ikoko. Ivo vakanga vaine manominations 11, ini ndandine 1. Ndikandokudya ne 1000 votes, ndikanowadya ne 859 votes. Saka ndofunga panga pa kutyiwa kuti tikaenda kuCongress pane zvaizobuda ipapo. So patakaita madisagreements iwayo ndo pakatanga kunzi uri mutengesi. But ukatarisa leadership yangu, top brass yangu inini haumboona kana munhu weZANU-1. Ukatarisa top brass yaChamisa unoona Mavhaire, unoona Jabunu, unoona Shadrack Mashaya Mombe, Jim Kunaka, unowaona ipapa. Recently kuna vanhu vakadefecta from opposition vachienda kuZANU-PF 21. Pavanhu 21 ipapapa 20 vakabva kupati yaChamisa. Ukatarisa inini maitiro angu handina kumbobvira ndatengesa mukaka wekwaGushungo kana kutakura kana kuita any business dealings nevanhu veZANU, asi kune vakaita izvozvo. Saka ane vanhu vari veZANU vari muleadership yake, ane vanhu veZANU vazhinji vakabva kwaari vachidzoka kumusha, neakamboita business dealings ndiye mutengesi. But inini ndiri kuti hatichada politics dzekurovana dziya. Taakuda politics dzekutaurirana zvakanaka, dzekurovana nemunyati, haikona kurovana nemaoko.
Right. All right. Saka you're saying based on that, chronologically, you can prove kuti hausi mutengesi. All right.
Kwete. Ivo vanonditi ndiri mutengesi takangowati provai tipei one thing chete chamuinacho they don't have. I've dared them kuti give me any evidence and because they don't have. But you know, these are my colleagues for many years. We know each other. It's like you lose a player to another team and then you spite that player. This is what is happening now. It is a weapon of choice. Politicians do it. Tinokuti kusibisana.
So then, okay, so you're saying you didn't sell out the struggle. Saka, what about the idea of the constitutional amendments? Because you've always said that you're a constitutionalist, but then your party ended up supporting constitutional amendment bills that ended up mutilating the constitution.
Certainly not. The constitution amendment, especially constitution amendment number 2, which is the bigger one, it provided for 6 things. The first thing, it provided for the women's quota, that we must continue to have 60 seats for women. The second one, it provided for women's quota, 30% of women, 30% of councillors must be women. The third one, it provided for a youth quota. There must be one youth from each of the 10 provinces to come to parliament. The fourth one was that it provided for devolution. Then the fifth one, it provided for the extension of the years for Justice Malaba and the Supreme Court. And the sixth one, it provided for the removal of the running mate. Now, as the MDC, we supported 4 of these things. It makes sense for us to support the quota for women, the quota for youth, and devolution. We did not support the extension of the term of office for the judges. And we did not accept the removal of the running mate. But when you are voting for the constitution amendment, you vote either yes or no. So if you vote yes, you are voting yes to everything. If you vote no, you are voting no to everything. Now, the majority of my members of parliament are women who got to parliament under the proportional representation. Now, they were being asked to vote whether they should remain or they should not remain in parliament. And at that point in time, I did not do what is called whipping. Whipping is where you are saying, vote for this, whether you like it or not. If you don't, I'll punish you. Now, I felt like I was going to whip people against their own gender, and I felt that was unfair. I then allowed the people to vote using their conscience. After all, what is the difference between a judge who is 70 and a judge who is 75? I don't see the difference there.
Well, okay, so you're saying yes and no, yes and no. So this brings me to a yes or no question. On the issue of the so-called former Chief Justice, Luke Malaba, who still thinks he is the current Chief Justice, should he stay or should he retire? Yes or no?
I was very clear in the Senate that the amendment in that regard was wrong. And I said it on the Hansard and it's on record. And the lawyers who went to argue the Malaba case took word for word what I said in the Senate. Now, I did not support that amendment. But what has since happened is that he was taken to court. And when he was taken to court, he lost the case and then he appealed. Now, our legal system says if you appeal against something, that decision you have appealed against is suspended. So the decision that is not Chief Justice is suspended. That means he remains. Unfortunately, I don't know what was in the head of these lawyers. They were aiming at one person, the Chief Justice. But they ended up suing all the judges of the Supreme Court, all the judges of the Constitutional Court. What that means is that the appeal now in the Supreme Court, there is no judge who can hear it because all the judges are conflicted. So what does that mean? It is going to stay there in the registry, it will rot, and probably Malaba will finish the 5 years anyway. I have also seen that the gentleman has withdrawn one of his applications against Chief Justice Malaba. So as a lawyer, I can tell you that the case is not going anywhere, but I was not for the extension.
Right. So let me ask you about the issue of the MDC name. Okay, because it seems that the different factions in the MDC are always fighting over the name. Now, you claimed the name MDC T, but then recently apparently said that you'd contest by-elections under the name MDC Alliance. I mean, is that not like Dimbare wins the league, then Makepe goes and changes its name to Dimbare and says, yeah, Isusu, Takawina League.
No. It's different.
Comrade.
Yeah, comrade. Looking at the analogy, Bora, MDC Alliance is not a political party. It is a group of political parties formed in terms of an alliance agreement signed on the 5th of August in 2017. Morgan Tsvangirai was still there. So it has 7 political parties. One of these political parties is called the MDC T. That was the MDC that was headed by Tsvangirai, then it was headed by Chamisa. Now, this alliance agreement says that whoever is the leader of the MDC T is the leader of the alliance, the MDC Alliance, the group of 7 political parties. So, kuri kubora, MDC T ndiyo Dimbare, MDC Alliance is Zifa. Saka ava vari kuti Zifa iteam kwete Zifa haisi team, but mtemo uripo kuti kana MDC, kana uri president we MDC T, ipso fact, by that fact, you are a leader of the MDC Alliance, because the MDC T was the majority shareholder in the alliance. It is more members of parliament. Now, the court says go to the Congress. Comrade Chamisa decided not to go to the Congress. I braved it out. I went to the Congress and I won the Congress. So I am the leader of the MDC T. And by that fact, the leader of the MDC Alliance. So we are not stealing anything. Comrade Chamisa now, he has changed his name. I'm sure you've heard that. It's called the Citizens Convergence for Change. In short, CCC. But you and me know, Fatso, that CC stands for Chamisa Cde Cde.
Okay, that's interesting, because if you're saying that the MDC Alliance is Zifa and as MDC T you are Dimbare, that means MDC Alliance could kick you guys out of the league.
Yes. It actually can do that. The alliance has got 7 partners, of which we are one. And if these 7 partners were to sit and in terms of the alliance agreement, they dissolve the alliance, they can still do that. But the MDC Alliance name was not thought by any person who is claiming that name now. It was thought by people who are not claiming that name. And I think my friend BT, who was heading the People's Democratic Party, and fielded candidates from the People's Democratic Party under the banner of the Alliance name. That's why he was removed from Parliament, not by me, but by Mrs. Lucia Matibenga, the president of the People's Democratic Party. So the myth that they tried to unsuccessfully pursue was that the MDC Alliance was now a party, and that the judgment which talked about the MDC T did not apply to the MDC Alliance. All that argument has been thrown away by the courts because I produced the MDC Alliance agreement, which was signed by everybody.
All right. So I think another question that's on the minds of our viewers is, how often do you speak to ED? WhatsApp. Do you often get in touch with him like, I'm Dara, big Dara, say my works?
Well, I do not have his number. Actually, yes, I speak to him formally. That means going through the secretaries and so on. I have spoken to ED on 3 occasions. The first one, I mean, after he became president, the first one was when we went for the vaccination program in Victoria Falls. We said hi to each other. The second one was when we went for the second vaccination program in Kwekwe. We exchanged greetings and a few jokes. The third one was on Friday, last Friday, when I went to meet him formally at State House. I paid a courtesy call as leader of the opposition in Parliament, paying a courtesy call to the head of state. but also to present the formal proposals by the MDC towards dialogue. So I was sending him a series of my demands or suggestions, and he welcomed me, looked at my proposals, and undertook to reply to them in writing so that we can kickstart discussions. What we are trying to do, we are trying to change the politics of Zimbabwe. We must get rid of the politics of hate, rancor, acrimony, violence, intolerance. We want to put a new politics, rational disputation. You being ZANU-PF, I'm being MDC.
I'm not ZANU-PF,
we must be.
comrade.
I know you're not.
Yeah, okay.
But you could be.
Nah, definitely
You must be able to leave your beer, go to the loo, and you have the confidence of coming and resuming your drink. That's the type of politics we want to have, rational disputation. In Kenya, Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga are talking together. In South Africa, over certain issues that they agree, like land and COVID, Cyril Ramaphosa and my brother Malema, you see them together dealing with a common issue. Of course, they do differ on other issues. In this country, you see extreme polarization. You can never, not even imagine Nelson standing there, ED standing there and talking. That is what we want to create, to cure this country off. And we want to say, let the people choose in full freedom. Nobody must be beaten because they support MDC or they support ZANU-PF. Let them be. There's nothing very right about being MDC anyway. There's nothing very right about being ZANU-PF. There's nothing very wrong about being MDC T. There's nothing very wrong about being ZANU-PF. These are choices that people make. So, just like people supported Dimbare, Highlanders, and so on. Oh, by the way, my mother supports Highlanders. My father supported Dimbare. And you can imagine what team should I support as their son.
Yeah. So I mean that brings me on to I think an interesting question in terms of, you know, like you're saying, in Zim, our politics is so much based on personalities and parties. So little is often based on ideology and values. And we've got a crisis in Zimbabwe that goes beyond personalities. We've got old colonial institutions that centralize power away from the people. We've got an economy that works for the chefs but doesn't work for the majority. We've got a global climate crisis happening now. We've got a global pandemic happening now. So what is your big vision for Zimbabwe if you were to be elected president? What is your big vision that you're offering to Zimbabweans? How would you change the country?
Our big vision of Zimbabwe is the economic, commercial, and industrial hub of the African continent. Our development trajectory is such that we must leave no one behind. We are for inclusive growth. When the country is growing, so should the pockets of the people, the welfare of the people should also be improving. You have certain countries where you hear of very, very big GDPs per capita, and yet that country is very, very poor people. We want a country where people go about their business in full freedom. We want a Zimbabwe that is a friend of the world. We want a Zimbabwe that where the development is across the regions. It mustn't matter whether you are from Matebeleland, Manicaland, or Masvingo, and so on. It mustn't matter what race you are. It must be a Zimbabwe for everyone. And that is the Zimbabwe we want. We are for, our ideology is social democracy, freedom, justice, equality, solidarity, constitutionalism, and the rule of law. We must be a country where people can differ with the government and they do not suffer for it. And that's where I admire, in some instances, President Zuma. They used to harangue him in the parliament. They used to say all manner of things in parliament against him, in his presence. And no single South African disappeared. That is the Zimbabwe we want to bring. That is why we are saying, let's get rid of the politics of hate, the politics of vengeance. That is why I am against the overbearing influence of the G40 within Honorable Chamisa's party. Because G40 is there for revenge. They want to revenge the coup. They want to jail these other guys in revenge. When we take over power, Fatso, we will not have time for retribution. We will have time only for development of our nation. And this is what I am trying, myself and my colleagues are trying to push our politics towards.
Right. So I want to...
Mune dzimwe nawo interesting news. Mukuru wenyika vasangana na Andy Wiso. Vakati ivo varidzi vemagitare vanofana kuridzira vanhu vanosvika 50. Vaenderera mberi vachiti mafunerals nemaweddings zvava pachena zvadzoka zvekare. Vazotaura vakati ivo varidzi vemagitare havangafi nenzara nekuda kwedende recoronavirus. Ndini wenyu Sanyatwa Sandati.
And in other news, mutevedzeri wemutungamiriri wenyika varivo zvakare minista weutano nezvimwe zvakadaro vati ivo macovid restrictions adzoka. Vakati ivo michato, mafunerals nemabhawa zvese ngazvivharwe. It's correct. Vakati ivo
Right. So I want to bring you towards another issue. This issue, $6 million, the 6 million RTGS that you received allegedly from the political party's fund. How did you receive the money personally, comrade? And you went and changed it by Zimex.
You see, Fatso, you should have seen how there was a group of women at OK Bazaars, the other type.
My money changers.
After no.
All right.
After the allegations came out, and I walked into the shop, and you should have seen the way they looked at me. They looked at me as if they were looking at some Jinimbi or some Philby Chiangwa or some Masiwa and so on. Definitely no money went missing. What happened is that the allegations came out at 5:00 a.m. on the day of the Congress. And my accusers wanted me to be put away so that I won't attend Congress. Because, of course, it was a question of time. I was winning that Congress. So it was part of Kushibisana. And the money has been accounted for. It was used for the Congress. And by the way, when I went to Congress in 2014 with Nelson Chamisa, I promised to beat him by 1,000 votes. I went on to beat him by 859 votes. Now, if you look at the votes at our Congress, I beat people by over 800 votes, same number of votes, because these were the same delegates who were coming. Now, these people then pursued their issue with the police. The police looked at it. They looked at the accounting system of the MDC. There is no way you can take money away from the MDC coffers using one signature. It can't happen.
Can you show us your phone?
No, you can't. You can't have EcoCash. You can't use EcoCash on the party account. Removing money from the party is a formal process, a very, very formal process. Rigid procedures, documents are there, and the Congress has said, let's have an external audit, and the external audit is happening. So you can see that from December 2020, 27 December, up to now, it's over 6 months, slightly. I haven't been arrested. The docket was opened. The police looked at it. There was no case to answer. And Fatso, I've been a lawyer for 32 years now. And $6 million is a lot of money. RTGS is a lot of money, but it's not such an amount that I can risk my job as a lawyer, because this is a lawsuit. society thing, an ethical thing. I can get deregistered by the law society. I can lose an election. I don't want to lose the election. I want to take over governmental power through peaceful, democratic, and constitutional means. And I have to be a person of integrity. And I know that. And there was no way, when knowing that I was winning the Congress, I would take that money. It is the people's money.
So this thing of wanting to become president, I mean, is this what you've been dreaming of since you were a young boy, or this is more like it's fate?
Well, certainly as a young boy, I grew up in a setup where there was power. I was in the royal family in Manicaland. My grandfather was a traditional chief and a nationalist as well. So I grew up understanding power dynamics. I also grew up understanding the issues. And I was schooled in the need to be of service to first your community, your family, then your community in the village, and your community in the chiefdom. So you live not for yourself, but for everybody else. I did not anticipate that I would be a president of a political party. No, I did not know that. Let alone being president of Zimbabwe, I did not dream of that. But as life went on, as I grew up, there was a time I was an admirer of Robert Mugabe with all that big English. He looked smart, he sounded smart, until I was smart enough to understand that it was big words only. The actions did not match his words. So I was at Goromonza High School, and we were taken for a toy by some ZANU-PF people. And it happened to be during the disturbances in Matabeleland. And they started talking about killing the Ndebeles and so on. They did not know that I had blood relations with people from Matabeleland, and I didn't particularly like that. I went to the University of Zimbabwe. The first thing that Mugabe did as we were going to the university was that he wanted to put a one-party state. That did not agree with my idea of democracy. I started opposing the one-party state. I started opposing corruption. I started opposing unfairness. And they continued saying that we are Africans. This is Africa. We are not Europe. But there's nothing African about dictatorship. There's nothing African about unfairness. There's nothing African about looting your own economy. There's nothing African about denying your people food. These are universal wrongs. The first dictator, the most viral dictator in this world was not African. It was Adolf Hitler.
So, Comrade, let's say you're stuck right now on a deserted island in Kariba. You're surrounded by crocodiles everywhere. And on that deserted island is just you and your old comrade, Nelson Chamisa. What would you say to him? Because you've got days stuck on there before some speedboat passes by and picks you up, or some fisherman. What would you say to Nelson Chamisa?
Well, there's one detail that you didn't put in your analogy, and it is whether there's food or not.
You're going to eat each other.
No,
carnivores.
No. I'm going to. I was going to say to him, "You are the pastor. Please fast while I eat the food." But look. The relationship between myself and Chamisa is not a personal one. We have no personal issues against each other. We tolerate each other. I think he's a particularly nice guy. He is funny.
He's got nice shirts.
He wears nice shirts and so on. I don't simply agree with his leadership style. And he thinks also that in some instances I'm a good guy. That's what he normally tells people. So he is a Zimbabwean. He is my brother, and I would try to save him from the crocodiles if I can. Just like I am trying to save him from the political folly that he's trying to get into. the association with the G40 is a kiss of death. Nothing good is going to come from the association with Jonathan Moyo and so on. The politics just doesn't allow it. And I will do my best to try to talk to him. I have extended an olive branch on more than 2 occasions. The first one, we met at a funeral after I had taken over as president. We met at a funeral and I said 2 things that and directing to him that we have absolutely no option but to unite the people of Zimbabwe. That's number 1. Number 2, we have absolutely no option but to tackle the Zimbabwean problems together as people of one family. The following day, his spokesperson, Mrs. Mahere, was dubbing me as an OPF agent. Jameson Timber was asking Zimbabweans to make sure that I should have my head examined. Then last week, I said in the Daily News, Chamisa is not my enemy. Tendai Biti is not my enemy. Welshman Ngobe is not my enemy. My enemy is poverty. My enemy is underdevelopment. My enemy is violence. It's never a personal issue. So I am very clear about what we need to tackle. I understand that Chamisa, just like Mnangagwa, are Zimbabweans with a particular way of looking at politics and at life. And they have the right to be. And I don't mind that he is heading his party and so on. But his supporters must know that in as much as they have that right, other people have those rights too. They mustn't spend all this time on Mwonzora. Now they've assigned this guy, what is this name? Ruhanya. He has tweeted, I think, 889 times. And of those 889 times since, I think it is since April, 771. He is mentioning Douglas Mwonzora.
He likes you a lot, comrade.
Yes,
He likes you a lot.
I am saying, play your brand of football. Play your game. And don't worry about the other team. Strengthen your team. It needs you. He is busy wasting his time on me. But this is the type of politics that we want to get rid of. And as you have seen, I have not shouted at Ruhanya back. I have not shouted at Jonathan back.
You didn't have data.
Well, when a friend donated some, I still he had a few jokes that I exchanged with him. But seriously, Fatso, this country needs more serious political analysts than the ones we have at present. It also needs serious lawyers because that department is short. Lawyers are going to court and they film themselves holding court papers and singing and so on and so forth.
It seems like you're talking about Doug Coulthard, comrade.
Before they go to court, and they go to court and they lose the case. We don't do that in this profession.
Are you calling them selfie lawyers, comrade?
No. Some of them are very nice friends of mine. Doug Coulthard is a very good guy. We exchange a lot. And some of the lawyers are my former students. When I was a lecturer at the Great Zimbabwe University and at the University of Zimbabwe, I taught some of them. And they were good students. They were sharp people, but they are doing it wrong.
So you're talking about the need for new political analysts. I think our best political analyst in Zimbabwe is Passion Java, of the Twabam fame. And very luckily for our president, Passion Java is now gracing ED with his presence on a regular basis. Egg and bacon for breakfast together and stuff. What do you think of this new relationship between Passion Java and ED? I mean, what am I top shatter, man? Yeah?
Fortunately, I'm a constitution maker, and one of the chapters we wrote is chapter 4, the Bill of Rights, the freedom to associate, freedom of expression, freedom to dissociate. Passion Java, I don't understand him very much. I should confess that. But he has a particular way of communicating, and I've watched the views his picture with President, I think the famous one, where he's wearing that type of dress. I don't understand it as well, but we am I to judge. But what I've noticed is that a lot of youngsters find it fun. A lot of youngsters view it, and I looked at the number of views, and it was astounding. Now, there could be method in the madness.
Youth vote, comrade. It's the youth vote, eh?
Yes, it is the youth vote. And I think, I don't know whether it will work, and I think that is what they are trying to aim at. It's something unorthodox. It's like Trump using his Twitter. It got him somewhere. And here you have President Mnangagwa, who is not so young, associating with a Passion Jawa, who has a particular way of communicating. I'm a Manyika. They are using a Manyika word, Ngenyi. I don't Ngenyi Mchiramba, and so on and so forth. Whether it will work, time will tell. But what it looks to me like, there is a method in the madness, and it can't be underestimated, especially by us who are the political rivals of the president.
So talking about method and madness, we had ED announcing that musicians will be able to perform for a crowd of 50. Then within like 24 hours, Comrade VP Chiwenga and Minister of Health, etc., comes out announcing these new COVID regulations and shutting everything down. Saka, what's going on there, and what do you think of these new regulations?
Allow me to say congratulations to Andy Murizo. I saw the president giving him some equipment.
Right.
I like his music. He's a very good musician. Well, I think when the president was talking there, I don't know whether they discussed the health situation, especially the COVID situation. And he said what he said. And for a moment, I was thinking that maybe the situation is gone better. Only to look at the statistics and see that Zimbabwe was having infections. I think they'd gone up to weekly infections to 596. That's a worrying number, especially now that we have the South African variant in Zimbabwe. We also have the deadly Indian variant detected in Kwekwe, and I'm told Kariba and Urungwe. Now, that's not a joke. It must surpass any entertainment, and I think that the shutdown, the tightening of the restrictions is called for, because this disease, Fatso, is not a joke. Zimbabwe's health facilities are bad. Therefore, we must emphasize on prevention. So this social distancing, lockdown, washing of hands, and so on is part of prevention. So far, I should say that Zimbabwe has done well, relatively well, in the containment of COVID than the surrounding countries. I was in South Africa 2 weeks ago, and the situation isn't so pleasant. And Zimbabwe has so far done well. And I think that we should keep it up. We should not be complacent. I'm happy that those restrictions were made. I don't read much into it. I don't think it denotes much about the relationship between the president and the vice president. I don't think so.
Okay. So my final question, because I know you have to go rush off to the Senate, comrade. We don't want to keep you away from there. But my final question to you is very, very simple. It's a multiple choice question. I'm sure you remember this from ZJC. It's either or, eh?
Yes.
So my first either or question in multiple choice: fair or CCC?
So, sorry?
Fair or CCC?
Neither.
Neither. All right. itel or iPhone?
Neither. I use Samsung.
Okay. Final question: pork chop pabrai kanoti sadza netibon?
Jesse.
Jesse. A true Zimbabwean.
In fact, pabrai paya, especially Saturdays, chilling with friends and so on. Nobody's quarreling with anybody. There's nice music playing.
One or two.
Yes, one or two. I like pork, I like braai beef, neka sausage mbijana. Yeah, that's very nice.
Good to know.
Yes.
Comrade Douglas Mwonzora, thank you for joining us on the show. We know you have to go off to the Senate now, but thank you for coming through and for making the time to come on.
Thank you very much. Thank you, viewers. Thank you, the people of Zimbabwe. Victory is certain.
And as we say, thank you and futsek.